Hello, hello, hello. This is Els coming to you from Beamish Craft Decor. And today I'm going to show you how to do these little book charms. So here's our little book charm right here. And here's our little tassel, for those of you that like the tassel, on a gourd pin. And then we have some of these that are just little charms with some dangles on them. Just tiny little pieces that you can add to your journal. And here's a little heart-shaped one with some blue pieces on it. And here's another square one. And this one has some little pink and white pieces on it. And I'm going to show you how to do these, okay? So let's get started. Supplies for this one, guys. We're going to be using a hole punch. This is a 1/8 hole punch. I like to use a smaller punch just because I don't want the hole to be too large on the finished product. And these are small. We're going to be using some chipboard. I have some 22 point here. The reason I'm using this is because it's just easier to work with. You can, of course, use thicker chipboard if you want to. We're also going to be using some small images. You can use larger images, but you have to remember that these are going to be about 1 inch big. So if you use too large of an image, you're not going to be able to get the image in. So you're only going to be able to get a part of it. So if it's an interesting image, then by all means use a bigger image. But if it's, you know, a not so interesting image, you're going to want to use something smaller. So if you had an image like this and like maybe you wanted to use this portion, you could cut that and use that. Or something like this, if you wanted to get like a piece of this, that would be okay. But otherwise, you want to stick to kind of these smaller images. These are all out of my graphics collection. And I have some that are bigger. And these are bigger images. We're going to be using those. I have these ones here. These are bigger. We're going to be using parts and pieces of those. But you basically want to stick to kind of the 1 inch inchies kind of images. We're going to be using punches. We're going to be sticking around that 1 inch size. I've got a heart here. It's kind of a small heart. I've got a 1 inch circle. This is the 1 inch star. I have a 3/4 inch square and a 1 inch square that I'm going to be using. And I have this one here that just has a bunch of different kind of shapes to it that I thought was interesting. So we'll use that. The other thing we're going to need is some glue. You may want some paint brushes. I recommend using some older paint brushes. And you're going to be using some Clear high gloss or triple thick or whatever gloss finish you like to use. I like to use the Clear and put it in a squeeze bottle so that I can just drip it on and allow it to self-level. You're going to want to have some kind of board to set these on, like a plastic cutting board, so that you can move them out of your workspace and let them dry. Remember, no matter what sealer you use, they are going to take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours to completely dry. So I use just a thin plastic cutting board that I get at the Dollar Tree just to set them on. And here's my trick. Okay, you guys have heard me talk about this a couple of times. I want to actually show you what the product is. Let me get these out of the way real quick. So I use a regular standard $15 inkjet printer. Gives me a great color. Excuse me. Gives me great color, but if I try to put Mod Podge or the Clear or anything like that over it, what happens is it runs. And I don't want it to run. So what I use is this product here. It's from Krylon. It's called Triple Thick Crystal Clear Glaze 500. It is a glass-like coating, superior high-quality finish, non-firing glaze for bisque, plaster, and more. Easy push spray, any-way tip. I spray this on paper. My designs that I use are all coated with this. You can see, sometimes you can catch kind of a shimmer to the page. Almost looks a bit like there's glitter on there. And what it really is it's the Clear. And what it does is it just seals the ink on the paper. So I can go over this with Mod Podge and See, it kind of shimmers a little bit. Basically, what I've done is I've put a gloss coating over this so that when I cut these out and I put my glaze on them, my ink doesn't run. So my $15 printer and a $3 bottle of Krylon. This bottle of Krylon, this can of Krylon will do approximately 70 pages, full-size pages. Right. So beginning, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be obviously cutting these down a bit because they are a little bit larger than what we would want to work with. So I'm just going to cut a strip of these. And then just go through with my punch, line up my punch. And just punch them out. Okay, so put the rest of these to the side. We'll use those later. We're going to do a strip of these as well. So we'll just take a strip off the top. And again, we're just going to line them up inside of the punch and punch them out. And don't worry if you're a little bit off because you can just ink it. Yep, sure can. Ink is permissible here as long as you use the right inks. Let's get this last one. So now when it gets to these bigger images, I'm going to cut one of these off as well. And I'm going to cut off one of these. Now, obviously, I don't want to do this whole image here, but I just have to kind of decide what part of it I want. Do I want the little girl and the dog, or do I want that, or maybe I want the bottom? But I think I like the little girl and the dog, so I'm just going to punch that out real quick. And then on this one, I kind of like this little piece at the top, so I'm going to take that. And I like the piece at the bottom. So I'm going to take that. And now I have these huge images. So let's take a row off of here. Now this one, we really can use the bigger square here and get more of the image. And I would just recommend going as close as you can to the color. And then you just kind of come in and, figure out where you want to get it. What part of this image do you want to use? Get these scraps out of the way. I really like that, so I'm going to take that piece. There we go. Like that. And I like this one. And I like that one. So I like those. The rest of these I'm going to kind of put over here. Squares. So what you're going to do at this point is you're going to get out your chipboard and you're going to cut enough to make 2 or 3 chipboard pieces for each one of these. So I'm just going to come in and just start punching away. And basically, I'm going to use 2 right now because I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to take these 2 and we'll pick one of these images. This one. And here's where the glue comes in. So I'm just going to use some art glitter glue. You can use any glue you want. Basically, I'm just going to sandwich two pieces together. Give them a second or two to dry. You do want them nice and squared up. I want to make sure that I glue my corners really well. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue this image on. So again, I'm going to go edge to edge, corner to corner. I'd rather squeeze glue out than not have enough glue on my edges, okay? Now, there's a couple of things you can do. We can either finish the back with paper, or we could cut out a second image, the exact same image. We could put a different image. In this case, it's a butterfly. We could put a different butterfly on the other side, or we can just decorate the back, and that's kind of what I'm going to do. Some of them I've backed in just regular cardstock. Some of them I've backed in more of the prints, and I have my StazOn ink. Now, because I'm going to be adding to this, and I'm going to be actually putting a sealer on here, I don't want an ink that's going to run, so that's why I'm going to use the StazOn here. And all I'm really doing is just kind of brushing the edges with the StazOn just to make sure that I get that chipboard covered. So we don't want it glaring out of there. Right. I'm going to do this little round one as well. Which already had a black line going around it, so all I'm doing at this point is just accenting the original black line and making sure that I get that chipboard covered. Once we have these all done, now I could use other inks if I want to, but I do run the chance that they will run once I hit them with the DuraClear. So, or, you know, whatever you're using, could be Mod Podge, could be Vintage Photo people, really. All right. So now that I have those all done, what I'm going to do is take the DuraClear, I put it into a drip bottle, and this way it sort of self-levels. And so I'm just going to put it on here. And I'm just going to tap next to the piece, and that gets it to move a little bit. And where it won't move, I can use this little stick to just kind of move it over to the edge and get it where I want it. Now, like I said, this takes about 4 hours or so to dry. So you're going to do this and leave it alone. I recommend leaving it alone overnight. And the tapping will also help with any air bubbles you may have. You could just, you know, put this straight out of the bottle. I like to use the little squirt bottle there, the little drip bottle, because it really allows me to put it exactly where I want it. Okay. I do think I need a little bit more over here. There we go. And then we've got this one over here to do. And then I'm going to let these sit. And through the beautiful magic of YouTube, you're not going to realize this, but about 10 to 12 hours are actually going to pass when I go to sleep and wake up in the morning to find my beautiful pieces all dry. I know. Miracle, right? A little bit more right here. There we go. Okay, so these are all dry. And I've just gone through to make sure that all the holes are still open and that I didn't fill them with, you know, a layer of Duraclear. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some eyelets and put them through the ones that I made the larger holes on for the purposes of being able to use the eyelets. So I'm just going to push those through. And then I'm just going to use my eyelet pliers to crimp that on. And these are sort of thick. So just to make sure I get it on, I like to do it on both sides. And make sure that it's nice and smooth. There we go. Okay, that's one. And we're going to put one on this one. Go. And on the smaller ones, I'm just going to be using a Gourd pin for those. Okay, so how are we going to finish these off? Well, I'm going to be using Gourd pins. That's right, these are called Gourd pins because they look like a gourd, right? I know. And I can use any Gourd pin that I want. Now, I did use a black eyelet on this one, so a black Gourd pin may be a good plan. And how am I going to finish it? Well, I could just put the Gourd pin on it and call it a day. Or I could come in with some seam binding or hem tape and just cut a piece of this off. And add that. I don't want this too long. There we go. And maybe some of this little baby rickrack would look cute. So we'll add some of that. And let's see, maybe, what else have I got? That might work. I'm thinking maybe a piece of some baker's twine. Might look pretty cool on there. So I have a little piece of rickrack, some baker's twine, and some hem tape. And I'm just going to sort of find the middle, or what I think is a decent middle. I'm going to put these in the bulb of the gourd pin, just like that. And then I'm going to take another piece here and wrap it around. Just a couple of times and tie a little knot. Remember, right over left, left over right. I could put a bow on it if I wanted to, or, you know, add a little something more. I'm going to cut these pieces here down. There we go. And then I'm just going to add the gourd pin to my little charm that I made. And it comes out looking like this. Okay, let's add some decor to this, okay? So the first thing we're going to be using is a small piece of chain. Now, this is surgical steel. It's 6 lengths long because I don't want it to be way so long that it overtakes it. But we do want it to be visible, okay? So I've also selected some blue beads to pick up the blue and some red beads to pick up the red. So I have some silver pieces in here and some black pieces in here and just a whole lot of cuttings. I also have some clear seed beads. I have some straight pins, and these ones happen to have a little silver ball on the end, which just adds a nice little decorative effect. I'm going to be using some pliers today. This is the most important one. This is a 1.5 millimeter loop, and this basically creates my loops and cuts my post all at the same time. So I'm going to start just by creating the first dangle, which will be the one at the bottom of the chain. And for this, all I'm going to be doing is just adding this little teardrop and a seed bead. I'm going to place this in to my plier. Before I do anything, I'm going to bend back on my wire just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze the pliers, and you'll see it's going to actually cut this wire right here and bend it all on its own, all in one shot. There's the cutting, and there's the bend. Now, these pliers do come in 2 sizes. They are a little pricey. So I will show you how to bend one of these by hand. So then I'm just going to build a few charms. And these are just a couple of beads a piece. Is there little dangle charms? Come here, you little booger. So how do we build one of these by hand? Well, first thing you want to do is you want to just take the wire and you want to bend it at a 90-degree angle. Just like that. And then we're going to cut off the excess wire, leaving ourselves about 1/4 of an inch. You're going to come in with the round nose pliers. You're going to grab the end, right about the size, the diameter that you want the loop to be, and you're going to roll this in. You're not going to take the pliers off. You're just going to keep rolling. Just release and roll. And that actually creates your loop. Now, once you have your loop, you're going to separate it, not by uncurling it, but by pushing it to the side. Okay? Okay, so we're going to need a couple of pieces here. We're going to need a jump ring, and we are going to need a closure assembly. These usually come in 2 parts, and they usually come pre-assembled. So we're going to use our flat pliers, and all we're looking to do is to separate the jump ring. Now the jump ring is already got a split in it, so we don't have to worry about that part. All we have to do is get it through the hole that we put on our piece. And then we're going to do 2 things. One, we're going to load on our piece of stainless steel chain. And then we are going to load on the jump ring that is attached to our closure. And then we're just going to push the 2 ends back together. Okay. Real quick. So, 1 large jump ring. We're going to put the chain on first on the front, and then our closure. Okay? And we're going to close the whole assembly up. And when it's done, it should look something like this. Okay? Let me put this up here so you can see. Focus. All right. So now we created this drop, this teardrop, to go at the bottom. So we're going to put that on the very bottom. And then to close this, all we do is just twist the open edge back down towards the bar. Excuse me. Twist the open end back down towards the bar, and that closes it back up nicely so we don't have to worry about it falling off. Yay, no falling off. Get this all lined up. And now we're just going to work at putting the other ones between those 2 points on the chain. The reason I like to put the last piece on is so that I can hold it between my fingers like that, and it allows me to just hook these onto the chain. So the next one I think I'll put on will be this one. So all I'm going to do is just turn this around so that the opening is closest to my chain. I'm going to hook it, grab the end, bend it down into position, okay? I'm not twisting it or anything. I'm simply moving it down against the rod, and then I'm going to straighten it where I want it. Again, I'm going to hold the end, hold the piece, and I'll put the next one on. And I'm only putting one dangle per link on the chain. Oops. Slipped off. Slippery little sucker. Probably shouldn't eat greasy popcorn while I'm doing this. I'm kidding. It's not very greasy. All right, that's two. Put that back between my fingers. Hold this end over here. All right, I now have two of my dangles attached. Let's go ahead and put the next one on. Okay, so here's all the ones that we made. So these are the ones that we started off with. This one is the one we started off with in the beginning. And this is the one that we made. How cute is that, right? And let's see. We had this one at the beginning. Just a little flower shape. This is the one we did right at the end together. And this one we did a little bit different. I gave this one kind of a longer chain, a different type of chain, and added a few more beads to it just so that it would showcase the charm at the end. So you've got that one there. And then, of course, the other ones that we did earlier. Look at this one. This one is so cute. It's exactly the same as this one, but look at the different look that we're getting. Just because we used a different finish on it. And then, of course, this one that we used the crackle finish on. And we just used a little bit of pink in that one and just a little bit of green to kind of pick up that green color. That's it, guys. That's how easy they are to do. I hope you give this a try, and I hope that you have fun with it and enjoy it. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I will be happy to respond. Till the next time, guys, do me a favor. Make sure that you search out smaller channels and give them some support. Go ahead and subscribe, like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends because I'm making dangly things. Bye-bye.